So hello, you're listening to Eska, and I'm really excited today because I'm joined by Johannes of AVATAR, and that's one of my favorite bands.
Hello. Thank you.
So I'm really glad that you're here, and the Polish fans are basically really glad that you're here. And are you excited to tour again?
Yeah, very much so. Now I have to think what we have done. As of last summer, it has started to actually feel like normal life a bit again, honestly. So no, but it's just good, and it's good that it's our first. I think it's our first sellout here in Warsaw, for instance. So yeah, no, it's a particularly good time to be us. Yeah.
Yeah, so the last show that was supposed to be here was postponed due to the pandemic. And I also remember participating in one of your live stream shows, the Age of Illusion. And I think that you were one of the most brave band in your activities back in the pandemic times. And do you feel like the pandemic changed the music industry in any way now?
I don't know. I know that a lot of bands are having a really hard time to get back out on the road, get back to what they used to do, for all kinds of reasons. And yeah, you can tell that a lot of people who would work the music business in other ways, not just the artists, were forced to find other jobs for stability, and that kind of shuffled things around with who was available to work with and stuff. And for everyone, I guess, in not just in the field of entertainment, in the field of music, but well, that's the field I can speak about. It hit a lot of people, mentally, obviously, but I think we as a band did as much things right as anyone could ask of us to do. For instance, doing the streams was more than anything. It was very valuable for us to give us simply something to do, to feel like a band, because that was one of the great challenges, to just, what do we do now, and doing the streams helped that a lot and created some sense of connection, that you do something for an audience and stuff, even though you couldn't see them. It was very valuable for that, yeah.
So thankfully the lockdowns are over. And I think it's a really exciting time for AVATAR, with the tour and with the album Dance Devil Dance being released on the 17th of February. And I've heard that the recordings of the album happened to be in Swedish woods. Yeah. So could you tell us how did it influence the sound of the record, and why was it different than usual?
Well, it influenced the sound, I guess, was one of the main reasons we did it like that, because the album before, Hunter Gatherer, we recorded in Los Angeles in an amazing studio with all the, for the music business, Los Angeles is like the center of the universe, and it was just a very fancy setting to do it in, which was great. But I think that we somehow ended up making fancier choices due to the environment, and I feel like Hunter Gatherer sounds great. I feel it sounds great in a very rich low end. It's thick and fancy, almost slick. And in hindsight, that it maybe that's not what we were supposed to be doing. And a lot of things happened between the release of Hunter Gatherer and releasing Dance Devil Dance. For instance, Cannibal Corpse put out an album, and I was kind of reminded by how angry guitars can sound. And talking a lot with Jay Rustin, our producer, who also produced this one, done 3 in a row now with us. We talked a lot about mid-range. We talked a lot about grit. We talked a lot about, how the sound should make you feel. There are so many ways to make things sound nice or good, and good is a very subjective thing anyway. So we decided to create an environment that was rougher, where we were more left to our own devices, and which would make the whole process sweatier, a bit tougher on us. Then, while being like that, technically speaking, at the same time, it was I mean, mentally the nicest time we have ever had in a studio, I think, because we were out there in the woods, just the five of us and Jay, living like a little, doomsday cult, cooking for each other, wandering in the woods, and making this album. And so that, I don't know how much, the songs were 95% done when we went there. So that place influences songs as much as anything else through the whole, journey of working on them did. But the sound, became more bare bone, which was a decision it was a conscious decision that we made even before getting there. And other than that, I mean, it's not a very forest sounding album. On the contrary, I think. So, it did what it did, I guess.
Yeah, I think it sounds more wild and maybe with a bit of more freedom.
Yeah.
And the release was exactly 1 month and 1 day ago. And if you could tell us, how do you feel playing that on stage after that time? Like, how do people react? How was the response of the people?
Very well already, actually. Because there's always, when you do the kind of shows that we do, reinvention is important for us, surprising people, the theatrical aspect, but also tradition. If you do a heavy metal concert, there's always those things. If I go and see Judas Priest and Halford doesn't say, and the next song contains the word, the law, and so on. If it doesn't do that thing, I will feel cheated of something. So there's always that balance between tradition and new, and reinvent and bring, respect your past while looking towards the future. All that game you play and you pull in different directions. But I feel the new stuff really, really fits well with everything else, and response have been great. Like people know the songs, and that's all you can ask for, and they move to the music. So it's great.
I really love the album myself and can't wait to see you tonight and listen to it live. And the Dance Devil Dance album is your 9th studio album. And how do you feel the band has evolved musically over the years, and how the album fits into your discography?
How we have evolved? We have evolved in a lot of ways. We started so young. Like, in most cases, most other bands are formed by people who first were in another band, That in our case, it's kind of true to some aspect. No, but for most of us, Avatar was the first real band. Avatar was the band in which we really learned to play metal and made all the mistakes and stuff. But then we didn't switch members or split up, and 2 guys went over there and met the other 2 ambitious guys from another band. We did that didn't happen. We just continued to be Avatar. So it's been a long journey under that banner. And I mean, a lot of things happens over the years, and we add and subtract certain things. Like, we are very much rooted in the style of playing that we did when we learned to play. It was very much, the melodic death metal stuff and the technical death metal stuff, and busy hands, combined rhythm and lead kind of riffing, and all of that. And that's rooted in that. But then there was always some kind of pull towards more classic heavy metal, rock and roll, and blending all of that. And as of late, I think maybe first time it was formulated like that, like this have been around Feathers and Flesh. The fact that I truly don't worry about what is our style or anything nowadays. I feel like Queen always sounded like Queen because they are who they are, and because we record again the way we do, where there are no sound replacements or quantizing or sampling or auto-tuning. Like, it's very much the sound of us, and we keep all that DNA in there no matter what we do. We sound like us, even if we would try really, we're not talented enough to sound like other people. We can only sound like us, and we respect that, we preserve that, we focus on that. And so then we kind of do a little bit whatever we want. One of the biggest things formulated for Dance Devil Dance is probably a sense of focus. I mean, song by song, they are very different from one another. but I think this one takes less twists and turns inside each song. You focus on one emotion, one mindset, one theme musically per song, and it's very much going back to Judas Priest. I read what's the book called? Confess by Halford, his biography, and I read it around the same time as we were working with our songs, and it really resonated with me. I felt exactly the same as was described in the chapter about British Steel, which was cut off the fat and focusing, you know. And I feel that's very much what we are doing with this one.
I think you really gained your unique sound and unique style. And one of the songs on the album, Violence No Matter What, was sung with Lzzy Hale of Hailstorm. And could you tell us something more about the song and working with Lzzy herself?
Working with Lzzy was extremely easy in the sense that she did at home, you know, and she's amazing. So just we sent some guiding tracks. Can you do something like this? And of course she can. She's one of the greatest voices of our time. So working with her from that standpoint was a no-brainer. She gave us exactly what we wanted. How it came to be is we've done some shows with Hailstorm, and as such has been a little bit in touch and stuff, and I have tremendous respect for that band. I feel in a business where we have learned that not every band is as huggy and kissy as we are, you know, like we love each other in Avatar, and more now than ever. And Hailstorm has a very similar vibe, that they are a family, and that's more rare than I thought growing up. But I have tremendous respect for them also on that personal, you know, interpersonal level. So then that song wasn't necessarily meant to be, it's not that we sat down and said, hey, we should do a duet. You know, it was Tim wrote a bunch of riffs. They were great. I started to work on vocals for them. And the first couple of ideas already were like for two voices. So we, you know, when writing that out, figuring, well, who could we ask? And Avatar is a sausage party, so immediately what a woman would immediately be able to add something sound-wise that we simply can't create ourselves. And again, we toured with Hailstorm. Lzzy is amazing, and then it was easy.
And you've already released 2 music videos for the title track Dance Devil Dance and also the Dirt I'm Buried In. And can you give us some insight about the concepts of those videos and what was it to create them? Because your approach to music videos is really cinematic.
Yeah, so Dance Devil Dance was a combination of very much thought out to be like a statement of a music video, to the degree that because of its content it got, you know, how would you say, age restricted on YouTube and stuff, so the algorithms doesn't really pick it up and things, but it was worth it, I think. Just that it's one of our least seen videos we ever made. It is what it is, but you know, it was trying to find a way to summarize a lot of what this album is about, which is, of course, it's really in the title, Dance Devil Dance. So you got the dance and you got the devil. I'm reborn, which, you know, as I'm coming to Earth, basically as the Antichrist, and as such symbolize some kind of rebirth of the band and the next step. And then to deal with that and the symbolism of rituals and stuff, but in an Avatar way, meaning it takes place in a circus. It involves the dancing and all this, the bizarre meeting between the very brutal and the very fun and uplifting. I don't remember now, like, there was a horror movie I saw, it was a bit of an indie one. Try to remember even what happened in it, but it was something, there was a lot about wounds and cuts, and that somehow you find this portals to hell or with the demons or whatever, you know, horror movie stuff through the flesh. So the idea of flesh dimensions or whatever, that planted a seed for the music video. But then the rest was just, you know, gathering those visual ideas. I also had for the longest time this idea of being in a morgue and performing like an autopsy on myself was just an image that stayed that was there, an idea that has been flying around for a while, that then combining with the thought of traveling into yourself, then fed the other ideas. What's that song called? The Dirt I'm Buried In. It's a bit different. Like, there it really started with the vibe. There are certain songs that you can really see, that works very well in a car at night, driving down a highway. Where, I guess it's the beginning of like the Terminator movies, that kind of scenery, that vibe. And I think Dirt is probably the song that we have made that has had that vibe the most ever. So it started with that, like, yeah, driving, car, okay, where? And then we really just started to add pieces. It was really just answering the question, why are we driving? Because that was the vibe. And then, well, maybe we drive to play somewhere. Okay, and then all the having fun with doing this small, pathetic little show. And also, who was in the audience? What can we interact with along the way? Well, we've never done anything with the classic Universal movie monsters and stuff. So that was really just a brainstorm, adding little piece by piece these ideas and details, and knowing that we did, always like this. Oh, there was so many special effects and green screens and stuff in Dance Devil Dance. Sure, okay, then the next one, let's be outdoors, let's be in the woods, let's use real environment and stuff, which was great to come up with in like August, but then we filmed it in the end of October, freezing.
Yeah, I've heard you saying that it was really cold.
Yeah, and we worked until super late and it was really uncomfortable, but I mean, it's a good video and it's spread well, so can't complain now.
And your videos and also your shows are really theatrical, and you always find something new. I feel you have your own style, but you never are repetitive. And how do you find these ideas and this courage to try new stuff with every record?
It's simply what we like to do. It's how and I think it has served us well, but sometimes to a detriment. But it's just, we believe in reinvention. We believe as artists in finding the new challenge and never write the same song twice. We believe in forward momentum and not going stale. And I just think we are at our best when when we are doing something that we're not 100% sure of how to do it. When there's a piece of exploration included in it, So that is just simply the way we have grown to be, That's how we are at this point. And if it takes courage or not, like, it's just what we like.
And I've seen a video of the Sweden Rock rehearsal process that came out like last month, and I feel like it's really impressive. But do you have any space for improvising on stage?
Yeah. Like lots of space for it. I think that's the point of what we're doing. Why it's theatrical. It's not theater. Theater, I've been to ballet and I like it, but that's you have a very specific goal that you want to achieve and stuff. And once you nail that, that's what you do. There's a part of what we do is, of course, that. But there is also more like stand-up comedy, a magic show, or professional wrestling. All these art forms that kind of are dependent on a living, breathing organism of an audience in front of you. How they react, what they do, that whole thing, is it's such an important part. So yeah, there are some crazy little things happening in those moments, but in between there, you play your songs, you perform your thing, and there is room for a lot of things have changed already just on this tour from the first show. Little things, night from night to night, it evolves, and we improve on it and change all the time.
And I've heard in one interview that you said that with that album you are rediscovering the meaning of symbols and with rituals. And I have this question: do you have maybe your own ritual before going on stage?
I believe that a lot of things are rituals that maybe, and that's kind of the idea that people don't necessarily consider ones. What I mean with that is we all blow out candles on birthday cakes, for instance, So that means that the preparations for a show and doing things in certain order when you can, and what music you put on and how you do your warm-ups or whatever, those are the rituals in themselves, and they carry aside from just being physically what you need to go through to get ready to do the show well, it's also something that connects you with that moment on a deeper psychological way, which then in turn you can choose to or not choose to see it as a spiritual thing. And I mean, I have no belief in anything spiritual, although I think there's a perspective that can be had nonetheless that helps you kind of navigate life. So yeah, there's all that becomes rituals in and of themselves.
With the current state of the industry, how do you see Avatar plans evolving? What can we expect from you from the future?
Well, we'll continue to be cutting-edge industry leaders as we have been for 2 decades. Well, we will try to continue to find things that we find challenging, hard, exciting to do. Find a reason to make songs that always ends up like with a question, if this were to be the last album we ever got to do, would it be worth putting it out? Is this what we want to end with? And if we're going to make sure to answer that question, yes, every time. It's going to be the same as it always has been, meaning it's never going to be the same.
And do you have any message to the Polish fans before the show?
Well, thank you for buying tickets so that it's sold out tonight. That's pretty cool.
Thank you. And I can't wait to see you tonight. And it's going to be amazing, I'm sure. And thanks for taking the time to speak with us.
Thank you. Thank you very much.